Alright, so now we're going to make the actual spice mix that goes in the falafel. So there's a lot going on here, and there's a couple steps, so make sure you pay attention. First off is we're going to gather the fresh herbs. So we have fresh mint, parsley, and cilantro all in here. It's a lot of herbs. And what I did is I made sure I pulled off all the rubber bands, the free rubber bands, and I took this over to the wash station and had them wash this to clean the vegetables, make sure there's no dirt or anything else on them. So I have that, I'm putting that to the side. Next up, I'm going to start building my spice kit. So first up is we're going to put garlic. Lots of garlic in falafel. So I have a couple heads of smashed garlic in here. And I'm going to shake it pretty vigorously just to knock the skins off the garlic. Now garlic comes all different shapes and sizes, so it's really important that we weigh the garlic instead of counting the pieces of garlic. So some can be really tiny, some can be really big. So for consistency purposes, we're going to weigh. So I'm going to weigh out my target weight here for the falafel. It's a lot of garlic. And as I'm doing this, it's really important that we use American grown garlic only. We don't use Chinese garlic. And second is that we peel it fresh every day. It just comes out way different when you're peeling it fresh. There's all these oils on the garlic that you don't get in pre-peeled garlic. They almost wash and sanitize it. It really changes it. So I know it's a lot of work, but it makes a lot of difference in the falafel mix. Perfect. So I'm at my target weight. And again, if I'm making one or if I'm making 6 of these, I'd have 1 or 6 of these 6 pans, depending on how many batches I have. All right, so from here, there's 2 sets of spices. One set that we toast and one that we don't. So I'm gonna move to the next set, which are the spices that we don't toast. So it's gonna be ground cumin and sumac. It smells amazing. So the first part is when you're measuring with dry measuring scoops, it's really important that you're hitting the accuracy on it. So that's not a third of a cup. That's not a third of a cup. It's got to be level to be the exact measurement. So we're going to do 2 of those. This is 2/3 a cup. We're going to move on to our cumin. Okay. So measure out a nice level spoonful of cumin. Those are all the ground spices that we don't toast. So we're going to put that aside. And next we have a set of spices that we're going to toast. So I have my sheet pan here. We're going to measure our nigella, sometimes called black cumin seed, or we'll measure our white sesame seeds. And our whole coriander. So when you toast these, it just brings out a different flavor in these spices, and it makes a huge difference in the falafel itself. Okay. So I've measured all my toasted seeds. I'm just going to mix them up a little bit. That's going to go in the oven, and you're going to refer to the recipe for the exact cook time and the temperature of the oven. So I have another sheet pan down here that I already toasted ahead of time. And it just smells really amazing and fragrant with all the oils. So what we're going to do is just corral these down to the end of the sheet pan. And we're going to put these in the 6 pan on top of the garlic and the pre-ground spices. So from here I have all my spices. I have my herbs. And the last part is I want to measure out the liquids. So we have water, it's already pre-measured. This is purified tap water that's filtered. And we're measuring out lemon juice. Again, when you're measuring liquids, you're always using a liquid measuring cup, not a dry measuring cup. It's a lot of lemon juice, so I'm going to measure it twice. Exactly, lemon nose. Alright, so now I have my garlic and spices, my fresh herbs, and my water and lemon juice. I'm going to take this over to the R23. They're going to spin this up into a puree, and then that's what we're going to use to fold into our falafel mix. So I'll be right back. Alright, now we're going to puree the falafel mix. So I have my spices, garlic and salt, my lemon juice and water, and my dried herbs. So we're going to put our liquids in first. We're going to put our herbs in. When you put the herbs in, sometimes there could be a little bit of liquid down here from the washing station. So you just want to make sure that doesn't spill over into the bowl, because that's going to dilute down the falafel mix. So, you know, my minced cilantro and parsley in there, and tucking it down a little bit. That's the stuff we don't want to get back in there. Alright, then I'm going to put my spices right in there. Smell awesome. Alright, so I'm going to refer to the recipe. This is the secrets of pureeing and pulsing that gets this perfect, right? And the biggest quality control issue here is that we're not following that sequence. We're having chunks of garlic, then come over and get folded into the falafel. So we're going to spin it on high first. It'll take a couple seconds. We'll use this container to put the mixture back in. Alright, now it's done blending on high. I'm going to open the lid up. And what I want to do is I'm going to scrape down all the spices and liquid that are on the top of the bowl. And I'm going to take my rubber scraper and scrape all the spices that are on the side of the bowl and get it back down into the liquid in the hopper. So then when we come back and do the pulse sequence, it's going to further blend those up. And it's consistent throughout the whole spice mix. So at this point, I'm going to pulse it. Just specify the recipe. Alright, now we get that magic number. So we open it back up. We're going to scrape down the lid and get all the spices and herbs off. And again, I'm just scraping the bowl down to get all that back in the liquid. Now what I have down here in the block is a half band. So I'm going to take the parking brake off and pour it into my half band. Now it's important when you're take the rubber scraper and empty out any contents that are in the bottom of the bowl. Most importantly is you want to scrape in the direction that the blade rotates in. So if I go opposite, my rubber scrapers will then bump into the sharp side of the blade, and so it'll cut up the spatula. You're going to lose these things in less than a day. So I'm always going in the same direction the blade spins. That means the spatula is touching the back of the dull part of the blade. So I'm just going to scrape out the bowl. I'm going to park the R23. I'm going to be ready for the next batch. And this goes back over to the plug station, which we're going to mix into the ground chickpeas. Alright guys, it's the final stage of making falafel. It's where we grind the chickpeas and then we fold in the spice mix that we just made over the R23. So I have my meat grinder here. I'm going to take the housing and bring it into the body. Alright, we're going to tighten that down until it's hand tight. Then you're going to have the worm, right? And the bigger part of the worm goes in first. That attaches to the motor. And you just got to twist it until it locks all the way back in. And then you have the blade. So it's rounded on one side and it's flat and sharp on the other side. You want to make sure that that flat, sharp side is facing outwards. It's going to grind up against this plate here. So that goes in next. You're going to spin it until it locks backwards. And then you have the grind plate. This is a large grind plate. That's the whole size. There's a little cutout in the bottom. That's going to go on the bottom where it fits in this little groove. All right, to fit in. It's not going to be flush with this. And that's on purpose because you're going to have this collar that holds everything on. So we're going to put the collar on. And tighten it down. And then we're going to put the tray on, which holds the chickpeas. All right, so for every batch of chickpeas that I'm doing, or falafel that I'm doing, I want to have a full pan plus one. So, I'm going to show you why. All right, this is ready to go, so I'm going to turn my machine on. make sure it's in the forward direction. So it's in forward. Now I'm going to take my chickpeas. I'm going to load up my hopper. So at this point, is if you have any extra water in the bottom of this, you want to make sure it doesn't get into this. It's going to dilute down the falafel batter. So I'm going to fill up my hopper. And in my full pan, I want to make sure it's all the way underneath the grinder. And then there's going to be a little spot where water drips out of it. You want to capture that. That's from the chickpeas getting ground. And it squeezes out some water, but you want to fold that back into it. That's different from the water that's sitting in the 22 quart. So at this point, this machine works as fast as I keep it fed. So I want to constantly be pushing the chickpeas over, and then gravity will just feed the rest. So as I mount it up right above that hole, I can come back and fill the rest of my tray, just to keep that thing fed. All right, so we're getting towards the end. Alright, so all the chickpeas are in. Just pushing the rest of the chickpeas through. This is the first grind. So to make the batter work, is it has to be ground twice. So you can look at the chickpeas at this point, and you'll see some that are finely grinded, and you'll see some larger chunks. So what we're going to do by grinding it twice is we're going to get some of those larger random chunks closer to the smaller pieces, and you're going to have a uniform grind size throughout this. So I just put the last of the chickpeas through, and you can see that it's finishing up there. So I'm going to take my full pan, put it in front, and slide it back. Now I'm going to take the ground portion and refeed the hopper. So this portion of the grinding is you have to do a little work to it. You have to feed it into the hopper and push it down. So after I load up my tray, I'm going to push down with my stopper. And you're just constantly feeding it and pushing it down at the same time. All right, I just reached the end of the second grind, right here. So I'm going to shut the machine off. If I was doing a second and third batch of falafel, I would then put this on my shelf, my rolling rack, and then grind the second, third, fourth, fifth batch of falafel. So for time's sake on the video, I'm going to put this to the side. We're going to start the mix now. So we do all the grinding at once, and then we do all the mixing at once. So I got my large bowl. I need to put on a little extra layer here. So these are arm sleeves. They're going to protect the food from any of your arm touching it and keeping it safe, right? So we're going to put these on. I like to put them on first and then poke holes through them. And then the glove kind of seals the two together. So I'm taking my ground falafel mix. In the bowl it goes. Taking that falafel mix that we made earlier, it's got so much flavor in it. Just pouring that in. And we really got to get in there and just mix this thoroughly. So what I'm looking for in the falafel is that there's no chunks of green, there's no chunks of chickpea. It should be all one color. So you can judge how well you mix this by looking at the batter and making sure that all parts of it, the bottom of the bowl, the top of the bowl, are all the same color. So you really got to mix it well. So you're folding it over, back and forth. Now you can see, you got some parts that are green, and there's still some pockets of chickpea in there. So that's all bland batter right there. So you got to make sure you get that green all the way incorporated into the falafel mix. So I still got a little bit of work to do. All right, we're almost there. All right, so now I'm looking at it. It all looks the same color. Now I'm going to do a little gut check. I'm going to go to the bottom of the bowl. It's all the same color all the way through, so I know it's well mixed. Okay. So you get 4 sheet pans. If you pick the batter on 3, it just takes a lot longer to cool. So we want to spread the batter out between four sheet pans. So I'm just going to take the batter and just spread it to all corners of the sheet pan. And I don't want to spend a ton of time. I just want to make sure, try to get as level as possible. Because the more level the batter is, the more it's going to cool consistently through the whole process. So, second sheet pan. And this is just one batch. So when you're panning these up and you're putting them on the sheet rack, you want to clump your batches together. So one batch is 4 sheet pans. You want, when you put it on the rolling rack, you want to have batch 1, the first 4 slots, the second batch, the next 4 slots, third batch, the next slots, and so on and so forth. So then when we go to package it, we can identify which batch is which. So from here, I repeat the process for the second, third, fourth, how many batches you have. And then when I'm done, I'm taking the falafel batter over to the heat. They're going to temp it until it's the process. We're going to package it and off the restaurant's